Okay, so if you're like most of us, you probably have a ChatGPT tab open right now.
Oh, absolutely. It's always there.
And why wouldn't it be? I mean, it is the perfect digital Swiss Army knife. It's decent at, well, pretty much everything.
Hmm.
It can draft a pretty acceptable email. You can
Yeah.
whip up an image.
Hmm.
It's okay if you don't look too closely at the hands.
Right, if you just kind of squint at it.
Exactly. And it can definitely save you a trip to Stack Overflow for a quick code snippet. We all love that convenience.
But that convenience it's the trap. That's the professional bottleneck right there.
Oh, so?
Well, the Swiss Army knife analogy is actually perfect. It's a fantastic tool for a lot of small, minor tasks. It's an emergency kit.
Right.
But if your actual job is building something, if you're a professional researcher, a full-time coder, a creative director, you wouldn't seriously try to build a house with just that one tool.
No, of course not. That's a great point. Being decent at everything means you're not really professional grade at any one thing.
Exactly.
And that's the distinction we really want to get into today. Because while you might be sitting there fighting with a prompt, tweaking it for the 8th time to get that corporate AI voice out of your memo.
That robotic sound.
Yeah, that robotic sound. Meanwhile, other professionals are using these specialized tools that are they're literally running circles around GPT-4.
And that's the opportunity cost we're talking about. General models, just by their very nature, they have to average everything out.
You have to play it safe.
Totally. They sacrifice that peak specificity, that deep context, and really high-end aesthetic quality for just broad utility. It has to be useful for everyone.
So it's changing.
What's changing is this explosion of specialized tools. Tools that weren't trained on the whole messy internet, but on these huge, focused data sets. Things like verified academic papers or cinematic quality footage or billions of lines of structured code. That specialization is the only way to get to that professional grade result.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to shortcut all that research for you and cover 10 of the best-in-class specialized AI tools that just flat out beat the general models.
And we've broken them down into 4 key areas.
Right. We've got writing and research, then visuals, then coding, and finally video. We want you to walk away from this knowing exactly which tool to grab for which professional job.
And you really need to stick around for that video section.
Oh, definitely. Tool number 9. The realism it gets with just like normal human movement is genuinely startling to see.
It really is. Okay, let's upgrade your professional stack.
All right, let's start with the intellectual stuff, the writing and research. This is where everyone defaults to ChatGPT because it seems like the easiest option.
And it's also where the cracks show the fastest. It's
Yeah.
where the general models have their most, let's say, embarrassing weaknesses.
You're talking about the ChatGPT voice.
The dreaded, soul-crushing ChatGPT voice.
Yeah.
Yes!
It's so recognizable. If you've ever had to edit something from a general model, you spot it instantly. It loves jargon.
It loves corporate jargon.
And it gets obsessed with certain words. Like, how many times have you seen delve or dynamic landscape or paradigm shift?
Oh, and leverage. It loves to leverage synergy. And my personal favorite is when it ends a sentence with something like, "This stands as a testament to the innovation in the space."
Yes. It's so unnecessary. It feels completely manufactured, like it was written by a bad business textbook from the 90s.
Well, it's a core problem with how the model works. It's just predicting the most statistically probable next word.
Right.
And when its training data includes just massive amounts of generic corporate websites, marketing fluff, and, repetitive academic papers, it naturally leans into that same voice. It lacks a real human cadence.
Which brings us to tool number 1. Claude 3.5 Sonnet from Anthropic. This is the writer's tool.
Absolutely. The reason Claude is so much better for professional writing isn't just, a minor preference. It's about how it was trained. It just gets nuance and context so much better.
How does that work?
So Anthropic uses a system called constitutional AI. The focus is on training the model to be helpful, harmless, and honest. And it seems like a side effect of that process is that it also optimized Claude for a much more human tone.
So it's not just guessing the next word.
It's not just predicting, it's prioritizing things like contextual relevance, and that results in writing that sounds far less generic. If you ask it to draft a complex newsletter, it sounds more like a thoughtful colleague wrote it, not some bot pulling from a database of cliches.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's be skeptical for a second.
Right.
If I'm already paying for GPT-4o, which is everywhere, why would I add another subscription just for a better tone? Is it really that much of a difference?
That's a fair question, and the answer isn't just about the writing quality, it's about the workflow. Claude has this killer feature that turns it from a simple chat box into a real workspace. It's called the artifacts window.
Artifacts. Tell me about that, because a better paragraph is one thing, but changing my entire workflow is something else.
This is the game changer. You're not just getting a stream of text anymore. When you ask Claude to generate something complex, like, say, a piece of code or a diagram or even a chart,
Okay.
it doesn't just describe it in the chat. It instantly renders that artifact in a separate window right next to your conversation.
Oh, wow. So if I ask it to, I don't know, debug a Python script, on the left, I see the conversation, hey, the bug is in this loop. And on the right, I instantly see the actual fixed working code ready to go.
Exactly. The chat stays clean and the output is right there, interactive. You can keep refining it without cluttering up your conversation. If you're designing a document, you see the document. If you're working on code, you see the code.
That's a huge deal.
It solves both the quality problem and the context problem at the same time. That's what gives it the edge for any serious professional writing or coding task.
Okay, that's compelling.
Yeah.
So moving from writing to research, we fixed the voice, now we need to fix the verification problem. This is tool number 2, perplexity. You call it the Google killer.
We do. And look, we know that ChatGPT and other general models have search now, and that's useful.
For quick facts, sure.
But you have to remember, Perplexity was born to search. Its entire design is built around a professional's need for rigor.
And that's about integrity, right, when you're doing professional work.
It's all about integrity. Think about Google. You get a list of links, half of them are ads, and you have to do all the work of synthesizing and checking the facts yourself.
And chatbots, they just try to sound confident, even when they're making things up.
Which is what we call a hallucination. And for a professional, a confident hallucination is a disaster waiting to happen.
So Perplexity is positioned as the trusted librarian.
That's the perfect way to put it. Its entire value is based on traceability. It gives you a clean, synthesized answer, but every single part of that answer is linked to a verifiable, clickable citation. You see exactly where the information came from.
So it's not a minor feature, it's the whole point.
It's foundational. If you're doing any kind of serious research, rating a business plan, a market review, creating educational content, you can't afford to use a factster. You can't trace back to its source. Perplexity just dramatically lowers your risk of being wrong.
So if I'm, say, writing a white paper and I need data on a very specific niche market,
Right.
Perplexity will give me the number and the link to the original report where that number came from, so I don't have to spend hours digging for it.
Precisely that. It turns research from this tedious scavenger hunt into a structured, reliable process. And it goes deeper than that with its Pro search feature.
Okay, what does Pro Mode do differently?
So when you ask a complex question in Pro Mode, it does a much more exhaustive search across higher quality sources like academic journals and industry reports.
This is filtering out the noise.
Exactly. But the key is that it then engages with you. If you ask a broad question like, tell me about the impact of rising interest rates, it doesn't just give you a generic summary.
What does it do?
It asks you clarifying questions back. Are you interested in public debt or private investment or consumer credit? It acts like a real research assistant, trying to narrow down exactly what you need to know.
That is a massive difference. So if ChatGPT is sometimes like that guy at the bar who thinks he knows everything, Perplexity is the actual research professional you hire when the facts really, really matter.
Absolutely.
Okay, our third tool in this intellectual stack is a bit different. It's more of a niche player, but it's essential for dealing with your own data. This is tool number 3, Notebook LM from Google.
And this is a really fundamental shift in how we should think about using these tools. Most LLMs are things you talk at about the public internet. Notebook LM is a tool you talk with about your own private documents.
We all have that digital clutter, right?
Yeah.
So how does it work?
It's super simple. You upload your own files. It could be a 100-page PDF, a messy Google Doc with meeting notes, whatever. The tool reads that file and instantly becomes an expert only on the information in that specific document.
It grounds itself in your source material.
Perfectly put, it grounds itself. And that completely solves the context loss problem you get with general chatbots.
Where you have to keep reminding it what you were talking about 5 minutes ago.
Exactly. With Notebook LM, you can ask these incredibly complex questions that cross-reference different documents you've uploaded, like compare the budget numbers from the Q3 meeting notes with the technical specs from that engineering document I uploaded last week.
And it's not going to Wikipedia for the answer.
No, the answer is found exclusively inside your own data vault. It's a huge efficiency boost. But the killer feature, the thing that really changes the game, is something called audio overviews.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
This is genuinely transformative. Notebook LM uses some very advanced text-to-speech to generate a realistic podcast about your documents. It even has 2 different AI hosts who discuss, summarize, and even kind of debate the key points from your note.
Wait, what? So I could upload a long, dense report,
Yep.
and instead of reading it, I can just listen to a podcast about it while I'm at the gym or driving.
That is exactly the use case. You can take an 80-page strategy doc you need to know inside and out for a meeting and just listen to it. It turns that passive travel time into super efficient learning time.
That's incredible.
It's an efficiency hack. And it points to where this is all going. The future of professional AI is less about general knowledge and more about analyzing and synthesizing your own private, complex information. It's a monumental edge.
Okay, let's switch gears and move from the intellectual to the visual. And this is where the differences between general and specialized tools become very obvious very quickly.
Yeah, you can literally see the difference.
Everyone knows DALL-E 3 because it's baked into ChatGPT.
And to be fair, DALL-E is really good at following instructions. If you give it a super complex descriptive prompt, it will usually nail all the elements.
Right. A photorealistic cat wearing a tiny hat riding a skateboard on the moon. It will give you exactly that.
It's very compliant. But compliance is not the same as quality, not for professional visual work.
You're talking about that aesthetic deficit, that specific AI look.
Exactly. DALL-E's images often have this very recognizable, plastic, almost too smooth look. It lacks that fine-grained texture that makes something feel real, whether it's a photo or an oil painting. It gives everything a slightly cartoonish sheen.
And that's what makes it unusable for high-end professional stuff, like branding.
Kills it instantly. Which is why we have to start with tool number 4, Midjourney V6, which is still the king of quality.
Midjourney is just... it's in a different league aesthetically. It's not just making a picture. It actually understands things like cinematic quality.
It really does. It has a mastery of texture, of volumetric lighting, of how depth of field should work. It understands photographic composition in a way that DALL-E just doesn't seem to prioritize.
So it's trained differently.
It feels like it. The model is so heavily optimized for pure visual artistry. It gets those tiny details right, the texture of a leather jacket, the way light glares off glass, the grain of a 35mm film photo.
And for a professional,
Yeah.
if you're making branding materials or a really polished YouTube thumbnail where the visual quality matters for clicks.
That's the difference maker. The results just look expensive. They look production ready.
But for the longest time, the big problem with Midjourney was the interface. You had to use it inside Discord.
Which was a nightmare for workflow. It's a chat app, not a professional design tool for organizing thousands of images.
Right. So what's changed?
This is the big update. They finally launched a dedicated web alpha site. So now, professionals who were tearing their hair out over Discord can finally access all that power through a proper, organized web application. It makes a huge difference.
Okay, so if Midjourney is the king of raw quality, our next tool is for a totally different kind of user. This is tool number 5, Leonardo.ai, which you call the control freak.
Yes. And this tool solves an equally frustrating problem with general AI image generators, the complete lack of granular control.
You call it the slot machine guessing game.
That's exactly what it is. You type in a prompt, pull the lever, and it gives you 4 images. If the composition is a little off or the character's pose isn't quite right,
You have to start all over again.
you have to rewrite the prompt and just hope for the best. It's incredibly inefficient.
So Leonardo.ai is different. It's built like a designer's dashboard.
Right. It's not a slot machine, it's the entire control panel. It gives you precise, granular control over every aspect of the image.
Like what specifically?
Well, for one, you can upload a reference image just to match a specific pose. That alone is huge for keeping characters consistent. You can manually control the depth of field, and crucially, you can paint over a specific part of the image, like a weird-looking hand, and tell the AI to only fix that little part.
So you're guiding the edits instead of just re-rolling the dice every time.
Precisely. That saves an enormous amount of time. But the most mind-blowing feature, especially for brainstorming, has to be the real-time canvas.
Okay, explain that.
It's incredible. You have a split screen. On one side, you can draw a very basic, crude stick figure or a rough sketch of a landscape.
Just a quick doodle.
A quick doodle. And on the other side of the screen, Leonardo renders a fully detailed, textured, polished version of your sketch. Instantly. In real time.
Wow. So you can test out different compositions and angles just by sketching, and you get immediate high-fidelity feedback.
You're turning a 10-minute ideation cycle into a 10-second experiment.
That's a huge deal for designers.
It's vital. Tools like Leonardo are for professionals who can't leave composition up to chance. They need to control the light, the angle, the placement. That's a level of control that general chatbots just aren't built to provide.
Okay, switching gears again. Let's talk about building things. Let's talk about coding.
And this is probably the area where the difference between general and specialized tools is the most dramatic, the most quantifiable.
So let's just say it outright. If you're a developer, you have to stop pasting big chunks of code into ChatGPT.
You just have to. Professionally, it is the biggest time sink. You think you're saving time, but you're not.
Why is that? What's the core issue?
It's the context problem. The moment you paste a snippet of code into that chat window, the model loses all context.
It doesn't know where that code came from.
Exactly. It has no idea about the rest of your project. It doesn't know what other files you have, what your dependencies are, what needs to be imported. It writes code that might be correct in a vacuum, but is completely broken when you try to actually integrate it.
And you spend all your time fixing those little integration bugs.
You spend more time fixing file paths and imports than you saved in the first place. Which brings us to tool number 6, Cursor, the full-stack developer.
So how does Cursor solve this context problem?
It solves it by being built directly into your code editor. It looks and feels just like VS Code because it basically is VS Code with a powerful AI brain integrated into its core.
So its main advantage is that it knows everything.
It knows your entire code base. It's not a chatbot you're pasting things into. It's an AI that has already read and understood every single file, every dependency, every line of code in your whole project.
Which means it can write code that actually works in context.
Instantly. And the features it enables are just. They're monumental for developer speed. You can forget about pasting little functions. Cursor can handle these huge, complex, multi-step tasks.
Okay, give me a concrete example, something that would take a developer hours with ChatGPT.
All right, the Command K instruction. You can highlight a big chunk of your project and just tell it, refactor this entire user authentication system to use asynchronous calls, and then go update the database schema in the model's folder to match.
Wow.
And it doesn't just write some new code, it performs the whole operation. It goes into your API file, it rewrites the functions, then it navigates to a totally different folder, it updates the database models, and then it goes through the entire project and fixes all the import statements that just broke.
It's doing the work of a human developer.
It's a true AI pair programmer. It understands the architecture.
Yeah.
For any serious full-time developer, it's an indispensable tool now.
Okay, but I have to ask the security question. If I'm working on a sensitive proprietary enterprise project, am I just uploading my company's secret sauce to this AI?
Yeah. That is the critical question. And most professional-grade tools like Cursor understand this. They offer options to run the models locally on your own machine. Or, at the very least, they have strict policies that guarantee they don't train their models on your private code.
So that's the due diligence you have to do.
It's absolutely mandatory before you integrate a tool like this into your professional workflow.
All right, our second coding tool is for a different audience. This is Tool 7, Replit Agent, the idea to app speedrun.
Right. If Cursor is for the professional developer working deep inside a huge existing project, Replit Agent is for the person who just had a great idea and wants to see it working, like right now.
The entrepreneur, the student, the hobbyist.
Exactly. It's all about speed and, crucially, deployment.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you just type in a prompt. Something ambitious, like build me a live dashboard that tracks my crypto portfolio using a public API. Or something fun, like build a simple snake game.
And then what happens?
The agent just takes over. You can watch it in real time as it thinks. It plans out the file structure. It decides what front-end and back-end components it needs. It writes all the code. And then it does the final, most important step. It deploys it.
So you don't just get a folder full of code.
No. You get a live, working, shareable web link. An actual app that is hosted and running that you can send to a friend or a potential investor for feedback immediately.
That's the part that's missing from the general models. They just give you the text.
They just give you the text. Replit gives you a finished, deployed product. The efficiency gain there is just monumental. You're skipping that entire painful setup and deployment process. It's a massive shortcut from idea to reality.
Okay, we've saved the most visually stunning and honestly the most computationally intense section for last. The Motion Masters. AI video generation.
This is the absolute cutting edge. And while you hear a lot of promises from the big general models, everyone's heard of Sora, These specialized tools are things you can use today.
The production ready?
Exactly. And video is the ultimate AI challenge, right? It needs to get everything right at once. It needs the visual quality of an image generator, it needs to understand physics, and it needs temporal coherence, making sure things stay consistent from one frame to the next.
Let's start with what you're calling the Hollywood standard. Tool number 8, Runway Gen 3 Alpha.
Runway has really set the bar for high-quality AI video in the creative industry.
And the quality of their new Gen 3 Alpha model is just ridiculous.
It's staggering. We're getting so close to photorealism. And what really sets it apart is how it handles the really difficult stuff, the complex physics.
Like what?
Think about things that always look fake in AI video. The way light reflects off water, the way smoke diffuses in the air, the glare on a moving car. Runway gets those subtle details right, and that's what sells the illusion.
But for professional video, you need more than just a pretty clip. You need control. You need to be a director.
And that's where Runway's killer feature comes in. It's called the motion brush.
Motion brush.
This gives you that director-level control. Instead of just hoping your prompt works, you can literally paint over a specific object in your video. A single cloud, a boat on the water, whatever. And then you tell only that object how to move. You can specify the direction, the speed, everything.
So I could paint one cloud and tell it to move slowly to the left, but then paint a car below it and tell it to drive quickly to the right, all in the same shot.
Precisely. You're not just animating a scene, you are directing the individual movements within the scene. It gives you a level of granular control that's essential for professional editing, where every clip needs to fit perfectly into a larger sequence.
Okay, that's impressive. Now, what about the new challenger that's been all over the internet? Tool number 9, Kling AI, the realism king.
Kling is fascinating because it's focused on what is arguably the single hardest problem in AI video.
Which is?
Realistic human movement.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
The nightmare fuel of AI video.
We've all seen it. The weird, glitchy hands, the unnatural way people walk, the uncanny way AI characters try to eat or drink something. That's what always breaks the illusion.
So how is Kling solving this?
It seems like they've trained their model obsessively on human biomechanics. The result is just frighteningly real. It can generate a person walking across the street or making a subtle hand gesture or changing their facial expression, and it looks completely smooth and natural.
So what's the practical use case for a professional?
Instant, high-quality stock footage.
Ah, of course.
If you need a specific B-roll shot, someone walking through an airport, someone using a product Kling can generate a clip that looks totally believable. It's a way to get custom, realistic human action on demand without paying for expensive stock footage licenses. It's a huge advantage.
Okay, finally, let's talk about putting it all together. There is a difference between making short clips and making a full video.
A huge difference, and that's where our last tool comes in. Tool number 10, in-video AI, the YouTube Automator.
So this is for high-volume content creators.
Absolutely. This isn't just about generating a visual, it's about automating the entire production pipeline for things like explainer videos or social media shorts.
So you give it a prompt like, make me a 60-second YouTube short about the history of coffee.
Yep. And it just goes to work. It builds the entire video for you.
The whole thing?
The whole thing. First, it generates a script. Then it finds relevant stock footage and images to match the script. Then it adds a professional-sounding AI voiceover. And finally, it generates and syncs animated subtitles. From that one prompt, you get a finished, ready-to-publish video.
Now, let's be realistic. Is that video going to win a film festival award?
Probably not. The trade-off is that you're sacrificing some creative flair for massive efficiency.
But for a creator who needs to make several videos a week?
It's a lifesaver. It's vastly better than spending 4 hours manually finding clips, writing a script, recording audio, and editing subtitles. For anyone working at scale, it's an absolutely essential workflow tool. It solves a business problem, the need for volume and speed.
Okay, let's try to pull all this together. We've just gone through an incredible stack of specialized power tools. What's the big takeaway for you, the professional, listening to this?
The synthesis is pretty clear, I think. ChatGPT is still incredibly useful. It's that essential Swiss Army knife. It's great for brainstorming, for a quick logic check, for summarizing an article. That general utility is still valuable.
But it's the starting point, not the finishing point.
Exactly. If you want to operate at a professional level with peak efficiency and quality, you need to build a specialized stack.
So let's just quickly run through that pro stack one more time for anyone looking to upgrade right now.
Okay. For your professional writing, you need to be using Claude 3.5 Sonnet. It's the only way to get that genuine human tone and get rid of that robotic AI voice in your important communications.
For any serious research where you have to be able to prove your sources.
It has to be Perplexity. Getting those verifiable, clickable citations is non-negotiable. It's your trusted librarian.
For art and imagery, if you need it to look expensive and polished,
It's Midjourney. It just wins on pure aesthetic quality and cinematic feel. And for coding, if you're working on anything more complex than a single function.
it's got to be Cursor.
Yeah.
It's the only tool that understands your entire code base
Yeah.
and acts like a true AI pair programmer.
That's the bottom line. Stop trying to force the Swiss Army knife to build a mansion. The specialized power tools we've talked about are faster, they're more precise, and they give you exponentially better results. The professional edge today is all about picking the right tool for the job.
That's the ultimate takeaway. Pick up the power tools. Define your professional stack.
And that actually leads to a bigger, more provocative question for you to think about as you build your own system.
Right.
We've just spent this whole deep dive talking about specialized tools that were basically built to fix the weaknesses of the general models, right?
Right.
The lack of nuance, the lost context, the bad physics.
Right. So are these always going to be separate tools, each with its own subscription, its own learning curve?
That's the question. Will we see a future Swiss Army knife, a GPT-5, or something new that can somehow integrate the power of all these tools? Can one interface give you Claude's nuance and Perplexity's verification and Cursor's context?
Or will specialization always win? Will the focus training required mean that the best tool for video will just never be the same as the best tool for code?
It's that constant race between deep integration on one side and focused specialization on the other. And the way you decide to bet in that race is probably what will define the quality and the efficiency of your professional work tomorrow. It's definitely something to think about.